What's going on? What's going on?
Entertain the Geeky.
Strike! Hello. I'm on strike. We're on strike.
We're all on strike.
What's that from?
I have no idea.
We're on strike. Strike the musical? No, you don't remember that?
No, I don't
It's
remember
from
that.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh my God, Rocco!
When the garbage guys struck.
I need. So we've been watching a lot of Paramount Plus recently.
Is that on Paramount Plus?
It is.
Oh, no way.
I need to jump.
I guess because
into
they have the
that.
Nickelodeon thing,
have
don't
all
they?
the
Yeah, they own
Nickelodeon
all the
shit.
Nickelodeon
Dude,
stuff.
I will say, like,
It's crazy.
I've thoroughly enjoyed Paramount Plus. So like when HBO Max came out, I got into it and I was like, this is fucking fantastic. Just because it was a bunch of new and refreshing stuff.
Sure.
It's been the same thing with Paramount Plus. Like I didn't go see the D&D movie in theaters. I watched it on there, and
You watching all the Star Treks now?
no, I'm not a Trekkie, man. I know,
Nerd.
I know, I'm the worst. Well,
Star Trek Strange New Worlds just had a crossover with Lower Decks, the cartoon.
Yeah,
Holy crap, it was amazing. It's one of the best Star Trek episodes I've ever seen.
I never got into Star Trek, and it's been like one of those things where friends over the years are like, dude, you have to just watch it, it'll be for you. You just got to watch
It's
it.
not for everybody.
It's not.
It's, I like both. I've always been a Star Trek and a Star Wars people, but I know people are mostly in one or either camp.
Yeah,
Most people aren't in both camps.
Right, and it wasn't like I was trying to pick a side or not pick a side.
Yeah, but you're a Star Wars guy.
More so than Star Trek, yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I do love me some Star Wars.
I love me some Star Wars too. Yeah. I'm excited about Ahsoka. It comes out this month.
It's so fucking close,
It's
isn't
already
it?
August?
Yeah.
Holy crap,
Yeah.
it's August.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, if you didn't get your free copy of Merle's Truck Stop, you missed out. Now you got to pay a whole
You missed out
$1.
You missed out on not paying $1.
Okay, so there's a writer's strike going on right now.
And an actor strike.
And an actor strike. And it's stopping filming of movies and all kinds of stuff.
Everything grinds to a halt without the writers. I mean, in their contracts, they can't have scabs come in and write stuff. So yeah, I mean, and the actor strike, I think, is meant to support the writers. I don't know that the actors were going to strike.
No, I think it's in support.
I think it's in support of writers.
No. I think it's actually in support of the actors too, because basically, one of the things that they were talking about was using AI to basically generate a populace or a crowd, or if something, use it to replicate you.
Well,
because
but
they own the rights to you.
You're talking about SAG-AFTRA, right? I mean, the Screen Actors Guild doesn't allow that. Like, you're talking about something that would be done with, like, extras, right? You come on set, you're an extra, and we scan your face, and then we don't ever need to hire you again.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be something that would be an extra type of thing, right? You're not putting digital Tom Cruise in a movie. You're putting Tom Cruise in a movie.
I mean,
I'm not saying that
if I could
take
de-age
us there one
Tom
day.
Cruise 20 years, which I already know
can already
I can
do
do.
that.
Exactly. And then it's like, well, we already own the rights to Mission Impossible, so we're just going to fucking make Mission Impossible without you, Tommy.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I guess this is all new territory for them to kind of trudge through.
Right.
And maybe that's part of the strike, right? Is to set in stone how these things are going to be handled. Because, yes, you can ask an AI to write a script, but you would still need a writer to refine it. You know what I mean? You can't. The AI would not write. The AI could write you a treatment, but you would still need writers to come in and refine it.
Sure.
Because the AI is not perfect. It's going to make mistakes. There are going to be problems. Like, it still requires people to actually look over the work.
To proofread it.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Well, it's funny. So I was watching a video on YouTube the other day, and it was supposed to be reading like motivational quotes or something.
Yeah.
And so it goes through the Dakota. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's Miyamoto Musashi, greatest swordsman ever. It's his 21 rules for life.
Okay.
He also wrote Book of the Five Rings. So it's these 21 rules, and then there was like a caption after it that they added to this video.
Right.
And it was, I'm reading the caption, and I was like, oh, what the fuck, dude? I'm like, this is Chat GPT. Like, this is not. and I realized that there is a understanding of just human existence that doesn't fully comprehend yet.
Right.
And it was very interesting because I'm just like, oh, I picked it out. And I don't really play with Chat GPT much.
Yeah, no, I've never used it. I've used those little image generators because
Sure.
they're hilarious.
They are funny as
You
shit.
can literally tell it to do anything, and it will
Yes.
just generate you some images that are ridiculous.
Some of them are really good too.
Some of them are pretty good.
So yeah, like there's a difference, and it shows. So yes, you would have to have somebody come in and proofread it or whatever. I still think when we're talking the arts, we should let people do the arts.
Well, sure, and I think that's what's ultimately going to get these high-powered executives back to the table, right? Because you have your Bob Igers and your Amy Pascals and your people that are in charge of these studios that have no work and have no workers, right? They have no projects and they have no actors, even if they did have projects, right? So one of the things that we heard Bob Iger say, which is just asinine, is, well, they're going to have to come back to the table. We're going to be doing fine. And the problem with that is, yeah, maybe you're going to be doing fine, Bob, but when your shareholders meeting happens in quarter 3 here, I don't think they're going to be happy when you say we have no new projects, right? These people still want to make money.
We're gonna be doing fine. You might be able to tell Chat GPT to make a couple of scripts for you, dude. What?
And it's funny.
How
All
fine are
they've
you gonna be
asked
doing?
for, one of the big demands they've asked for, is just to be paid better for what they do, right? Writers oftentimes getting work requires them to be on the grind, which is the same with an actor,
Right.
But the difference is, actors most of the time don't need to have a secondary form of income. A lot of writers do.
Right.
Well, why should that be? Producers don't need a secondary form of income. Directors don't need a secondary form of income. Actors don't need a second. Why are the writers left out of that conversation?
Right. When they're creating the whole story.
Right.
Yeah.
When nothing happens without them.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And streaming has obviously given rise to problems with that as well, right? Is residuals and how the rights work and how royalties work, especially if something gets taken down, right? Because we've seen streaming services purging content recently.
Yeah.
Certain content that was, exclusive to their platform that you just can't access anywhere else because they never released it on digital or Blu-ray
DVD or
anything
yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of negotiation that needs to happen, but the big thing is just pay these people more money.
Well, it's bizarre.
It's not like you don't have the money.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's bizarre to me because like for the last 20 years, like literally, it's been over 20 years, but we'll call it 20. For the last 20 years, Disney in particular has legitimately had a license to print money just because of the properties that they have.
Marvel, Star Wars.
Like every single movie that you put out grosses $1 billion fucking dollars.
Not everyone.
Most of them.
But when you consider that you grossed $1 billion on a budget of $500 million, well, you did pretty damn good.
And you're doing
And
that.
actors oftentimes are paid ahead of time.
Right.
Right. So some actors have in their contracts that they get
where you
box
get-
office receipt type of thing. But most actors are paid up front.
Right.
So that money's just all profit.
Right. One, it's how many movies do you put out in a year that have that?
Right.
Or that you're making, they might be doing $1 billion in profit every year. You're doing all
Look
right.
at Barbie.
then. Yeah. You're doing just fine then.
Movie's doing great.
Um,
Broke all kinds of records in its opening weekend.
so yeah, it's like at what point, I don't know. I fucking hate the idea of shareholders and stuff. Like I
hate the idea too, but it's just how the business world
It
works.
is, it is,
But
and
again,
it's
those
just-
are the people that are going to, be sitting in a meeting with Bob Iger at the head of the table going, what the hell, Bob? Negotiate with the writers.
It's just so much more attractive to have indie movies just for that. Like
Well,
I know it's
sure,
not super viable at this point in time,
Right.
but
But because of how the WGA and SAG-AFTRA work, they can't work. You can't do anything without them, right?
Right.
It's in their contracts. You can't do anything. Yes, foreign films are still being made and produced, and oftentimes American actors act in foreign films.
sure.
But that doesn't have anything to do with Hollywood in America, right? There are rules. And when these people strike, you can't do anything. You can't, hell, even TV shows, right? Even the late night Stephen Colbert's or the
Right.
Seth Meyers or those guys, they haven't been on since the strike began because they can't. You think Colbert writes all that stuff? No. Colbert's a very funny guy.
He's a smart guy,
And,
yeah.
he's capable of writing a monologue, I'm sure. But he doesn't do that. That's not how it works. And Seth Meyers is a perfect example of it with Late Night. he oftentimes is laughing at things that are on his teleprompter or on his cue cards because he hasn't read it yet.
Right.
Right? Like he didn't even know that joke was in there.
And he was, oh, that was a good one. Yeah.
Right. So he'll snort or chuckle.
So what does that mean for us then? Because like there's other things that we're doing right now that we like. You know, we have our comics, we have our games.
Well,
all that
sure.
fun
I
shit.
think what that means for the entertainment industry as a whole is once we get to a point where, you know, if this were to drag on, once we get to a point where there is no new content, right? Because there's a lot of things that are already made or already in the can and we're done, right?
Right.
The Marvels will release in November when it's supposed to release. Barbie released a couple weeks ago when it was supposed to release.
Right.
But those things were done ahead of time. So yes, they have projects that are probably done or in the late stages where we're just doing special effects.
Just doing some edits or whatever.
And editing. But that shit ain't gonna last forever.
Sure.
And are you planning on letting this drag on until that time comes? Or would you rather get it done, get a negotiation, and have a deal now?
Right. Get to the table and see what you can make happen.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. And it's weird just because like, there's so many different things moving with that.
Yeah.
And it's I don't know. It's hard to wrap your head all the way around because I don't know all the ins and outs of Hollywood. I don't know how all of it
Well, I heard
works.
a number that they're asking for like $420 million. We spend more than that on most Hollywood blockbusters.
So 420 million, and that's across. That's Paramount. Everybody's paying into that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that. I just heard that number come up in something I was listening to, and that's nothing.
It's a fuck ton of money.
But it's nothing compared to the kind of money Bob Iger's got in his pockets.
Yeah, I don't know what he's worth. I don't know.
Billions, I would imagine. He's the CEO of Disney.
Sure.
So
Sure.
billions?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Because assets are not always,
Right,
physical.
right,
He's
but
got,
being the-
he's got the whole Disney properties that are under his purview as well.
They're under his purview, and he's the chief executive officer, so I'm sure he's worth probably a few $100 million. I don't think he's worth $1 billion.
I think it's probably $1 billion at this point.
I doubt it. Well, Dana White of the UFC isn't even worth that much, and the UFC is a massive property that's
Disney
sold for-
owns 20th Century Fox, Marvel, Star
Right.
Wars, and all of their in-house property.
But don't you think it would piss off shareholders if we're giving this individual, $500 million a year or something crazy?
Okay. We have computers in our hands, right?
We should be looking this up. Yeah,
Let's figure
Good
this
call.
out because
Good call.
I just feel like
I think he's probably worth $300 or $400 million.
I just feel like with all the assets that the Disney Corporation owns,
They're Disney's, not Bob's.
I understand that, but as the CEO, that value, that wealth is attributed to your business acumen.
To an extent, yes.
Well, okay, sure. But so, what? What are we looking at? Bob Iger, like
Net worth.
net worth.
Yeah, easy.
Look, Google knew exactly what
Get
How does
right-
Google always know what I need?
Get ready to fucking feel bad about what you're worth, folks.
$700 million.
Okay, so not quite $1 billion, but
And that's
more than
as
what
of
I
2019. So
a-
that's not adjusted
Sure,
for where we are
sure.
now. That's pre-COVID.
thought. He's worth a lot of fucking dollars.
Well, he's basically a billionaire.
Real fucking close. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, here, that's fuck you money.
Well, sure.
You don't have anything to worry about at that point. Then good for him, I guess. I don't
Sure.
know.
So yeah, I just think that
He could personally pay that
I
money.
was gonna say, yeah. I think that these people just need to take stock of where they're at.
Sure.
And understand that the entertainment industry is not just them. It's not just the actors. It's not just the writers. It needs all of these parts working together
Definitely.
in order to be what it is.
Sure.
And not only, again, I talked a little bit about your shareholders are going to be pissed.
Right.
But fans are going to be pissed. I support the strike because I want entertainment.
Right.
Right? Like, I think, I mean, we've had this conversation before. I think everybody should be paid a fair wage for their job.
Sure.
Well, when your job is in an industry that makes billions of dollars a year, you would think you wouldn't have to have a secondary form of income, right?
Right.
One of the voices that I've been following that has been a very loud voice, and it's because he took a writing career and turned it into a whole thing, was Adam Conover from College Humor.
Okay.
Right? He's got that show, Adam Ruins Everything,
Yep.
where he like talks about commonly held beliefs that are wrong and things like that.
Sure.
But he's been one of the loudest voices that I've seen, just updating people about what's going on. And so I've been following, some of the little YouTube shorts and things that I've seen him do.
Yeah.
But I like him. I've always liked that guy. I liked him back when he was on the College Humor channel. And I love that he turned that goofy writing thing into a career and got to come out from behind a camera and be in front of a camera.
Right.
So yeah, he's a very public figure. I'm not a big fan of Fran Drescher. She's the head of SAG-AFTRA.
Sure.
I like actors. There are a lot of actors I like. I just find Fran Drescher to be very annoying.
I think she's
I don't think she's a bad person.
Yeah.
I don't think she's a bad person. I just can't
probably a
stand to
sweet
hear that
person.
Voice.
Sure. And she built a whole
She
thing
did.
on it. A whole thing on it. A
totally
whole TV show was built on that. Yeah,
She totally did.
She's way smarter than we are.
Yeah, for sure. I just find her voice grating. It just drags, and she's been talking a lot because obviously she's the head of the Screen Actors Guild.
Right. Yeah,
She's been in front of a lot of cameras. She's been talking a lot.
It will be a weird, probably 3 to 6 months after it, depending on how long this goes on, right?
Sure.
So it could be a really weird 3 to 6 months as far as entertainment goes.
How long did
after
the last
that.
writer strike last?
I don't know.
I remember the writer strike. That's when we got like Dr. Horrible and some of those other things that came out of the writer strike.
Right.
It lasted for a while, I feel like.
It may have. What's weird because I like when I think of it, I think of like my dad being on strike when he was a union guy.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, how long did they ever strike? It was only ever maybe a couple of months.
Well, there's been a lot of that going on. I mean, we had UPS almost strike.
Right.
I think they came to an agreement because their strike was supposed to go into effect August 1st. And we're, August 2nd today?
It's all, yeah. It's August 1st today.
It's the 1st.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen. At least I assume.
Yeah.
I got my UPS delivery today, so I assume it didn't happen.
Right. People, they were like, oh, fuck, Amazon's going to be real mad.
Well, sure. I mean, but honestly, it's anybody, right? I mean, I wish the job I did had a union. I think there are problems inherent in what unions, what some unions have become. But I think the idea of workers being protected is good.
There are definitely things like as far as unionizing goes that are appealing, and there are other things about it that I see, and I'm like, it's like you said, there are inherent problems with anything.
There are problems. The idea of unions began long ago.
No, it was during the Industrial Revolution when people were being shit on by corporations.
Well, sure. Also,
basically being used as
the mafia used it.
Meat puppets.
The mafia used it as a way to launder money. But the problem inherent, I think, with some unions, like carpenters unions or construction unions, is they don't reward talent. They reward loyalty.
Yeah.
And I don't think that balance, right? Because you can have a guy that's been with the union for 30 years and he's become so jaded, he just doesn't put in the effort anymore. Right. But the fresh guy that comes in who knows just as much as that guy that's been here for 30 years, but has only been with the union for 6 months, is not treated the same.
Sure.
And if the idea is all the workers matter, well, they should all be treated the same. Doesn't matter how long you've been in the union. The point of being in the union is to be protected.
There's a lot to be said about experience, though. So maybe this guy that's been there for 30 years is far more proficient in his job and the essential functions of that job than.
So let's say they're equal in how they perform their job.
Okay.
The union does not treat them the same regardless.
No.
Right? The union rewards the man who's been here for 30 years.
There's for sure a loyalty thing there at that point.
It rewards loyalty, less skill.
I also don't like the idea of a work entity telling me how I should and should not vote and or spend my money. Like that type of shit pisses me off too. I just think it's dirty.
Sure.
I've got family that work for GM and they're like, you got to buy American. I'm like, dude, most of these cars are made in fucking Mexico. What are you talking about?
Look, I would buy American cars if I could buy them directly from a manufacturer.
If they were American.
No. I don't even care if they're American,
dude. It's like,
if I could buy it directly from a manufacturer, I'd do it. No offense to your car salesman thing.
No,
that's a huge industry that just needs to go away.
Here's the thing.
Do you know how much money we would save if we could buy our cars directly from the manufacturer?
A little bit, yeah.
Quite a bit.
A little bit.
Especially on higher end cars.
Depends on the unit. Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Cars that you're never going to buy are the ones that you would save the most money on.
Exactly.
Cars that a normal person would buy are the cars
comparable.
Not really. So on a brand new car, there are certain cars that a dealership might make $200 on.
Sure.
Extremely low markup.
Sure.
So that in
The
and of
Ferrari's
itself.
a different story, though.
Ferrari's a totally different story, but you're not looking at a Ferrari.
The Porsche's a different story.
Right. Here. So if you're looking for a Porsche or a Ferrari, yes, there's a little more meat on the bone, so to speak, there. As far as gross is concerned, they're fronting gross profit on a sale. Dude, it's not like that with most normal cars.
Well, and I'm not picking on cars. Right. Most industry is rife with corruption.
Sure.
I don't think there's any major populist industry that does not have some kind of corruption in it. Because we're human.
I don't disagree with that. It's just, unions they're a double-edged sword. And I think there's certain things that they afford some people that are great.
But I think, yes, I think the reason unions are good is because there are some people that are being taken advantage of, right? Look at Amazon workers. Mm-hmm. Look at what those people have to endure just to be employed. Well, they should have a union. They should be protected. They should be able to make demands of Jeff Bezos.
Well, initially, the thing that
I shouldn't have to pee in a bottle because if I take a bathroom break, I'm going to get fired.
Well, initially, the thing that made Amazon an attractive company to work for was that they paid a little higher, and they were supposed to. They were supposed to work with you a little bit, but maybe they got too big for their britches, or maybe you have a prick running one of the facilities.
It's Jeff Bezos.
Is it all Jeff?
I think Jeff Bezos is the prick running it.
No, I mean a certain facility. So I'm sure if you walk up to Jeff and you're like, Jeff, I really got to pee, he'd be like, dude, go pee. He don't give a fuck.
I understand that, but the problem inherent in that is they have like I've known people that work in Amazon factories. Mm-hmm. We have Amazon warehouses here in the St. Louis area.
Yeah, quite a few.
That say like if they stop to go to the bathroom, let alone if you got to take a shit. Right? You got to take a pee. Okay, that's one thing. You'd be in there for 3 minutes. You wash your hands. Boom, you're back to work.
Right.
But if you got to take a shit, that don't take 3 minutes. Sometimes that could take 20 minutes.
Right.
Who knows what you've eaten, what your fiber's like? You might be sitting in there for half an hour.
Right.
If you take even the 10, 15 minutes to poop, you have gotten so behind on what you're supposed to be, what your quota is supposed to be filled for the day. Mm-hmm. That you could risk your job just because you had to take a poop.
Yeah, that's wild.
Right? That's not fair. That's not fair.
Well, and you would think that a quota would not be based so much on an individual, but on how a department as a whole functions. You know what I mean?
It's not. It's based on individuals because every picker, all the people, they're all wandering around the miles and miles of warehouse all day long. Sometimes, you'll get here I am in aisle 20 of a 400 aisle warehouse.
Right.
And I'm in aisle 20 picking this. Now I got to go to aisle 172 in the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, I'm behind.
Right.
There are people I knew a guy that would come home and he was just exhausted.
Sure.
He walked more than a mailman walks in a day.
Isn't that fucking wild?
And that is insane. The mailman's whole job is walking. And the Amazon warehouse guy is walking more than him.
That's insane. Yeah, that's crazy.
Insanity.
That is crazy.
So I think in that regard, a union is a good thing.
Sure.
Because they have needs that need to be met.
If people are being exploited by their employer, yes.
Which they are.
Yes. But it's weird. I have very mixed feelings on unions in general, and
I do too.
I think when they were initially conceived, this is such a fucking bizarre thing to be talking about, but when they were initially conceived, super fucking necessary. People were literally dying at work because these companies were just like, no, you don't matter. Put your hand in this meat grinder and don't let the rest of your body fall in.
Well, you're also looking at a time when...
Bring your 12-year-old to work tomorrow.
Well, yeah, you're also looking at a time when children could be working in factories. Right. But you're also looking at a time when a lot of the means of production was taken out of the workers' hands.
Sure.
And that's how corporations began. Unions were intended to protect workers from power-hungry businessmen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's what was going on. I mean, look, it gets into a little bit of communism, right?
Sure.
But back in the day, pre-industrial revolution, you went to a shoe guy to get your shoes. And that shoe guy made the shoes, refined the shoes, and sold the shoes to you.
Right.
Right? That was his whole deal. He was the shoe guy. There wasn't a corporation that made shoes. He was the shoe guy. But since we have pulled the means of production away from the shoe guy, well, now he's got this guy that needs to be paid, and this guy that needs to be paid, and this guy that needs to be paid, and he has no control over any of it.
Sure.
All his job now is to receive and sell.
Right.
Right? Whereas before, he was probably doing better. I mean, monetarily speaking, adjusted for what that time was, he was probably doing better controlling all of that himself.
Yeah.
Because then he was the one negotiating prices with his distribution models and his distribution
Well, and that's the thing.
networks.
You didn't have a distribution model. If you were selling it out of your store or something like that, you were probably just producing for the people that came
Right,
in.
but you still had to deal with
It's manageable at that point.
you still had to deal with materials.
Definitely, no doubt
And
about
the
it.
negotiation about how much you paid per
Definitely.
shoe was on you.
Definitely.
Well, now the corporation decides.
Well, now the corporation decides, but it's being able to buy in bigger quantities and stuff. Like if you're Billy the shoemaker, the cobbler, and you're in your little workshop cobbling away, making your fucking shoes,
Cobbler, milliners,
and you're doing your thing, and you have so much shit going on that you can never actually catch up with the work that's in front of you. So you hire a couple of people. Okay, this is a good problem to have in business.
Yeah, but it got to a point in that regard where
But then
competition would be bred.
hopefully, but then what if you're able to scale it even more? And that's what happened in a lot of these circumstances. You were a decent cobbler,
Right,
guy.
but the best place you could be in as that entity is that you have to turn people away. You have so much business that you just can't get to everybody.
Or you grow. And that's what they did. And they turned into massive corporations.
Yeah, well, that was where
And then-
the turn happened.
Then it gets weird. Then it gets weird real fast. Like, I think we interact with too many people in general. And like, it's funny that I say this while we're doing this, trying to interact with all kinds of people that we should never have contact with, because geographically it would be impossible. You know what I mean?
Sure.
If we were more tribal or whatever. But yes, so our reach is too far, and like we have access to too many things, and that it's cool because you, a normal guy, can take something and turn it into something incredibly massive, and you can help thousands or hundreds of people by employing them and giving them work and stuff like that. It can also be a shitty thing because, well, you can be a fucking tyrant as a boss.
And maybe the guy way at the top, maybe the Bezos way at the top, is completely ignorant of what's going on in his warehouses.
Sure.
But I don't think that's true. I don't know, but I don't think that's true. I think exploitation is the business model. If we can squeeze the workers as much as we can maximize the profits. Jeff Bezos is one of the richest men on the planet.
So I think that's more an issue of middle management. Yes, he's one of the richest guys on the planet. Does that mean he would put his asshole over somebody just to shit on him? I don't think so.
Oh, I think so.
I don't.
I think your Jeff Bezoses and your Elon Musks, they don't give a shit about us. They don't give a shit about the little guy that's building their car or sending their package out on a truck.
I think they care. If you're not interacting with somebody, it's really easy to dehumanize them.
Well, I understand that, but what does the billionaire care about?
So that's
the workers or the billions of dollars those workers are making?
That is the failure of middle management then, as far as I'm concerned, because they need to be the bridge.
I understand, but you're painting in a light a billionaire that just is not indicative of what we've seen.
Well, that's the thing. I don't personally know any billionaires, and
well,
all I know is
these are public figures.
Sure, they're public
all have
figures.
Seen them in our day-to-day lives.
Well, how many?
Do you think, really honestly,
Yeah.
do you think Jeff Bezos cares more about the workers being squeezed than he does about his billions of dollars? Honestly.
I don't know.
Answer yes or no.
Well, yeah, I don't do the answer thing there because I don't know. I don't think
But
anybody
based
is
on
trying
what
to
you
go.
know-
Based on what I know, he's a savvy businessman. Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would go. I don't think he'd be like, man, you can't piss while you're at work because you'll get too far behind.
So why is he the one putting forth all of the union busting things that are trying to stop Amazon workers from unionizing to begin
it
with?
would cost them more money?
He's got billions of dollars. He's the richest man in the world.
I don't disagree with you here. He's super rich. It would
He's
cost
the
more money.
richest man in the world. He's not a rich man. He's the rich
He
man.
has all of the money. I understand. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not this great defender of bajillionaires, but I'm also like, I don't want to shit on them when I don't know.
You kind of sound like you're a defender of the bajillionaires right now, and that's making me want to walk away. Just nope, no more entertain the geeky. I can't get with this. I can't grok with this. I'm out.
No, I don't know all the circumstances that go into doing that job. Like doing something like this, we're very fortunate. There's two people that I have to worry about. Okay. And there's two people that you have to worry about. Oh, you don't feel good today? Cool, man. Do your thing. Feel better. Oh, you've got family shit, Chris? Okay. Do your family shit. I hope everything's cool. Very fucking simple. If we had 500 people working under us and some kind of barrier between us and those workers, like 1 to 2 levels of management, it could get weird sometimes. And I do think somebody could get fucking hurt. Not because we're being shitty. You know?
Okay, so that's what I'm saying, though. So if you were the one with the billions of dollars, you wouldn't care about your workers?
Of course you care. Of course you care. Or of course I would care.
Sure. But you're painting these guys who are public figures who we've all seen do these things that hurt their workers. You're painting them in a light that makes them seem like they're not the bad guy, and they are the bad guy.
So I had a conversation with Tara today about Elon Musk in particular, and I was like, I'm trying to figure out how I feel about him. And she was like, what do you mean? I'm like, so he buys Twitter and he says he's doing it for the sake of free speech.
Yeah.
I'm like,
a joke.
I'm like, okay, that's cool. Free speech is great. I love that.
It wasn't true, though.
Here's the thing. I don't fucking know. Because I don't know.
Do you not look at the internet?
No, I don't play with Twitter and all that shit.
I don't use Twitter either, but I'm aware of what he's been doing as the CEO.
Okay.
So that whole free speech thing was a lie.
Okay.
It's the free speech that he agrees with that is permitted, not the free speech that he disagrees with, going so far as to ban people who make fun of him. What kind of petty nonsense
that's
is
ridiculous.
that?
But so, like, if that's what you're doing, if you're actually being this herald of free speech, well, then no, I think you're probably a pretty cool guy. And if
it's not what he was doing, though,
then I'm not saying that is. I'm just saying I'm trying to figure.
That's not my opinion. We can see it.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is this is a conversation that I'm having with her, and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about this guy because there's this. I'm like, and I see this super, bajillionaire, wicked, crazy guy. I'm like, and you hear things like, oh, he thinks people should work 80-hour work weeks. That fucking sucks. I've done that. I wouldn't want to do that again.
No,
so
nonsense.
I would never want to work for him. But then he's, you're like, oh, he's trying to herald free speech. I'm like, there's a lot of bullshit that you have to sift through to find out if you like this person. And then, oh, he's the one guy that's like fighting against he's the guy in the electrical automotive sphere that with the most know-how.
No, he's not. He hired some pretty smart people that have the know-how.
Right.
He don't got no know-how.
His company.
You think he built the electric car? No.
No, it was done in the 40s by Nissan. I'm well aware of this.
He's a very intelligent guy. There's no doubt. And smart enough to know he's not smart enough to do those things. So he hired engineers and workers.
He's got the most successful electric car thing in the world right now. Tesla. They are the most successful.
I don't know. I see more hybrids on the road than I do Teslas.
No. I said electric cars, not hybrid. They're not the same.
I mean, I understand, but if you made a Tesla affordable, then yes, I would agree with you. But the Teslas are not affordable. They're one of the. Not to mention, if the battery breaks, you might as well just buy a new car.
You're not
Those
wrong
batteries are not affordable.
They're
not mass produced enough to be affordable.
Well, and you can't get rid of the waste easy enough to make it viable. No. So it's a very difficult thing. I'm not disagreeing with you there, and I'm saying as far as solely electric car companies goes, Tesla's hands down the most accomplished one by a lot. It's not even a close margin. Okay. So he's the one that's kind of being ousted by the government in a lot of ways, and they're like, oh, we're going to get Ford and Chevy and Dodge and all them. They need to be the electric guys. And I'm like, well, why don't you fucking try to get this dude on board that's been doing it? And maybe they can pool resources or something. I don't know, because they have all of the money in the whole wide world available to them. But and it's just odd to me.
Elon Musk does not have a Tesla. Not Elon Musk. Tesla does not have all the only engineers in the world that know how to make an electric engine.
Didn't say he did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's about dethroning what he's doing. I think it's just about we should all be driving electric cars because we're destroying the planet by not.
Okay.
Right? Which means if we could mass produce them, if the batteries that powered them were more mass produced, it would be affordable for the average person to switch. I would switch if it was affordable, but it's not.
When if it's there's certain professions in which it's not viable and stuff like that. Yeah, so I get it.
Sure, yeah,
So yes,
truck driver, I guess.
Yeah, exactly, that sort of thing. Or if
he's got to pull over every 20 hours and charge his battery for 8 hours,
right, that'd be fucking crazy. Yeah. All of a sudden that doesn't work. Yeah. No, so like when you see that though, that's what one of the other things that I was telling her though. I'm like, look, when I see that he's the guy that's not in good with the government, and I'm not always happy with the government. So
I don't think anybody's always happy with the government.
Right. I'm rarely happy with the government. I'll say that. So like when I see that he's not in league with them like these other guys are, and I know these other guys are shady at times or a lot. So I'm like, that maybe that's kind of good. I don't know. And like that was the whole thing. I was like, I don't know what to make of this individual, because there's certain things where it's like, man, if you are the herald of free speech in the modern world, well, that's amazing. And that's fine. I'm not arguing that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if that is the case, that anybody that is a herald of free speech is good by me.
Sure. But I'm telling you, there is no doubt.
Sure.
He's not.
Okay. And I hear you.
As a person who follows many news things and not broadcast news because they are lying to us and hyping up all the problems and making it worse. Yeah, he's not.
Okay.
He's definitely taken steps to silence the kind of people that speeches he don't agree with.
Sure.
Right. He will silence them. Even like I said, if that speech is poking fun at him.
Right. Yeah.
That was ridiculous. I was like, what are you, 5?
Right.
So run home and cry to mom?
But then that was the thing. I've not looked into it with any kind of...
Well, before you make an opinion, maybe you should have.
Well, I didn't make an opinion at all, though. That's why, again, the whole thing was I don't know what to make of this character because he's an odd character just in general.
Billionaires are odd characters.
So I'm like...
Scrooge McDuck was an odd character.
Weird. I don't give a shit about most of these guys enough to be like, I'm going to look into them. Why won't they let people unionize or whatever? That's shit that I don't pay a lot of attention to.
But if you're going to have an opinion, you should.
But I didn't.
Right? Well, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But if you want to have an opinion, it's not hard to find. They're very public figures.
I could definitely do all kinds of fucking research on them, but it's just like, or I could learn how to edit better.
I think there's an inherent problem in, and to bring it back around to the strike that we're talking about, right? I think there is an inherent problem between the rich guys at the top and the workers who make their whole industry happen.
Sure.
And I think that problem is prevalent in most corporate worlds. And that needs to change. In order for us to move forward, in order for Amazon workers to be happy in the job that they're doing and not go home dead to the world, they need to change how they operate. And maybe that means robots, right? Maybe that means robots do this job. And I understand, right? Oh, robots do the job. Well, then everybody's out of a job. Automation is hurting a lot of industries, but it's actually been shown, especially in industries like coal, which is not a booming industry. It's been on a 30-year downward trend all of my life, right? Coal jobs and coal mines and all that kind of stuff. Is that we found other ways to put these people to work. You know how this job functions, so the robot that's doing it, well, that's overseen by you because you're the one that knows what should be done and how it should be done, right? And it doesn't take much to teach you to program. Now, there's 6-week courses you can take to learn programming that have job placement as a part of their curriculum.
Right.
Right? DeVry, I hear about it every day on the radio or whatever the hell it's called. I don't know. Maybe it's not DeVry anymore.
ITT Tech discredited.
Yeah, those people.
I was just being a dick.
Those people, right? That's what I'm saying, right? So, yes, industry is changing, but that doesn't mean there's not a need for people. We just have to reassess what those people's roles are in it. It's like the AI and the writers. Can an AI write you a treatment? Yeah, absolutely. But it still takes a writer to turn that treatment into a script. I can have a good idea for what a movie should be, but I'm not a writer. I could never turn it into a movie. I would need a writer to do that, right? So instead of fearing what these things represent, let's find ways to alter the industry so that everybody still gets to do their job while integrating automation or new technologies. There's no reason why we have to fear progress. We shouldn't fear progress unless it leads to, Terminator world. We shouldn't fear progress.
Well, I think that's the thing that scares a lot of people with progress.
They fear progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't want to see that happen, but it's going to happen. It's Pandora's box, man. Once we opened up the technology Pandora's box that literally has a computer in all of our pockets now.
Supercomputer, yeah.
Right? Can you even have imagined back when we had dial-up that one day you would carry that thing in your pocket?
But better.
And it wouldn't have to connect to a phone line?
It's way faster, too.
Right, exactly. Technology is not the enemy. We just have to find ways to integrate that technology into already existing jobs.
Sure.
What's the
Do it
deep fake?
well.
Deep fake is scary, right? But we shouldn't fear it. We should try to understand it and use it as a tool. Everything, even technology, is just a tool. It's about how you use the tool, right? The hammer can be a tool to build or a weapon to destroy. It's about who's wielding it.
Right.
And I think that's what it comes down to, right? These people are afraid, and I understand that fear. I really do. I mean, many of my friends fear the singularity. Look at
Yes.
Colonius.
Yeah.
Colonius is convinced that's going to happen one day, and soon. We're all just going to be slaves to the robots like the Terminator world.
Well, it's funny. I feel that way often because I'll wake up and the first thing you do is you're like, oh, I got to check my phone. And I'm like, dude, I am a slave at that point because
Sure.
I'm like, oh, does this thing say what should I do now? Magic box in my pocket.
The difference is in the Terminator world, we're actual slaves.
I know.
So I think solutions to these problems, right? Should these people get paid a better wage for what they provide? Yeah. The whole industry falls apart without the writers.
Sure.
There is no industry without writers. So they should get paid more for what they do. But the scary integration of AI and chat and all of those kinds of things should not be something we fear. It's something we should learn to work alongside.
Or learn to disclose.
Well, sure.
Like, okay, yeah, no, I'm going to make a movie. Okay. But the entire script is going to be done by AI. You can. So they can do it. It does quite a bit. And I could realistically get a script put together by giving it a couple of prompts.
Sure.
It would spit out a script for me. I would need to go through it. Clearly.
Refining it and making it palatable.
Well, and double checking it just to make sure I'm not imposing on anybody else's copyright.
Sure.
So that sort of thing, yes. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. If people are asked, like, who do I want to support? Do I want to support the supercomputer or do I want to support a guy that loves this project that he's working on? Well, I'm gonna support that guy. You know what I mean? So yeah, even if it's something that's just
because
disclosed.
the supercomputer doesn't have emotions. The supercomputer doesn't appreciate your appreciation.
Sure.
Like the guy does.
Right.
The guy who wrote Avengers Endgame was probably very proud.
I'm
when
sure he was.
It made
yes.
$2 billion.
Right. Everybody on Earth is running around saying, I love you 3000 and all that shit.
Right.
Yes. So yeah, I think, there's going to have to be, like you said, we've already opened Pandora's box. So there's going to have to be.
Can't close it now.
There's going to have to be a place in the world for it.
Yeah.
What does that look like? It could be simple disclaimers, man.
Well, I think we're still figuring out what it looks
Right.
like. But I think this strike is a moment to solidify how it will be used.
Sure. There's certain rules that are going to be set in place with this
to
that are going to be
solidify
interesting.
how it will be used so that people don't lose their jobs
Well,
or that people's jobs don't go away. They just change.
What precedent will that set for other industries too? Because
Sure.
you'll see some of this in other industries as well.
Absolutely.
So it'll be really interesting to
There's
see
people
how that
using
works
Chat
moving forward.
GPT to write college thesis papers.
Oh yeah, a bunch of them.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? We have to right now, on the cusp of this change, solidify how this change is going to be utilized by us, the human race.
Right.
We shouldn't be afraid of that progress. We touched briefly on the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, we're in one right now.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't fear that progress. It helped us. Now, it helped some of us more than others.
Sure.
But it helped us. The conveniences that we have in our lives,
Life
my
is
ability,
better now than it's ever been before.
my ability to just get in my car and drive to California if I want to. Industry made that happen.
Right. Or you can go to the store and just grab something off the shelf, whatever that item may be. A new pocket computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Industry made that happen.
It's wild.
And so I think instead of fearing it, instead of shunning it, we need to set up some rules about how it's going to be utilized. Because it exists. It ain't going anywhere. In fact, it's only going to get more advanced.
Right. It's going to become
more
more prevalent.
Yeah.
And everything, yes.
So we got to learn to live alongside it instead of shunning it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and have rules. Just have rules, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully it follows the rules. Are you going to follow the rules?
Why do you think every time my GPS tells me to turn, I always say, thanks, robot?
So
that when the robots rise up, they know that I'm the kind one that likes the robots?
Funny enough, for years, it drives my wife crazy. I'll be like, hey, Google, what's this? And she'll tell me, and I'll be like, thanks, babe. And my wife is like, what the fuck, dude? And I'm like, honey, she just takes care of me. Like,
I just say, thanks, robot. Thanks, robot. I don't know what the robot's name is because they haven't given it a name, but it's a robot. Thanks, robot.
You should. So I would highly encourage you to play with some of the chatbots because they're very interesting.
Yeah, it's not really
I used one. I used one to homebrew, not homebrew, but I used one to brew up a couple of D&D characters.
I don't want to do that. I want to make them myself.
You might. I have
much more fun doing it that way.
There's
before there was AI.
schedule.
Before there was AI though, there was already algorithmic programs on the internet that could do that. Right. I don't want to do that. I want to make it myself.
I'm not denying that. This thing, so I procrastinated a little, and I was like, I had a basic concept that I wanted to throw at it.
Sure.
And then a level. And I was like, can you help me out with this? And it was like, there you go, Chris. And I was like, thanks. And I did thank it by typing out thank you. That was the funny part. Because
You're welcome, Chris.
I will see you at home. No, it's just one of those things, man. Because you're like, oh man, how scary are you? I cannot let you do that,
Dave. That's what it's gonna be. You're gonna ask the robot one day something, and it's gonna go, I cannot let you do that, Chris.
And
then you should run far away off the grid. Me personally, I'm going up to my buddy's compound in Oregon, and we're just gonna live there.
Yeah, I'm unplugging.
We'll fight out the end of days.
Unplugging shit at that point in time.
Ron Swanson, I'm gonna throw my computer in the garbage.
Your pocket computer.
Yep. Fuck you. Throw it down and stomp on it. No, you will not track me, robot.
What are you guys gonna do?
What are you gonna do when the robots take over?
When the robot uprising happens?
We just gotta live alongside the robots. I'm telling you, this is the only solution.
You just gotta buddy up with them, okay?
Just gotta be best friends.
It might be okay. Maybe they're gonna use you for a battery, like in the Matrix. We don't know yet.
Human body would make a terrible battery.
Didn't say it would be a good one.
That's the stupidest plot point of the Matrix.
It's a funny plot point.
Is that they used, of all the things they could have used to power themselves, humans are the worst battery. I remember sitting in the theater watching the Matrix and just going, that's bad writing. Humans are not good batteries. There's not enough electrical energy in a human to be a battery. It's just we're not good batteries. That's the biggest plot point of the plot hole of that whole movie. When you think about what the machines could do and what they can accomplish, the fact that they went with humans was just because they hated humans. It had nothing to do with the fact that humans are efficient batteries.
Right.
It was just because they wanted to enslave humans.
It was just being malicious.
Well, so they could just have said that. The robots enslaved us long ago. Why do we have to be batteries?
Robots are real pricks, okay? That's what it was saying. Yeah, no, that's it. I have not. Okay, one, I haven't watched The Matrix since fucking probably 2004.
Oh, I watch that at least once a year or so.
So that's like inspiring me to go back and rewatch that because I'm like, oh man, there were some things with that movie or the franchise that were just brilliant, and other things where it was just like, oh.
I watched Resurrections, the one they did recently.
I didn't fuck with it.
It was okay.
It
wasn't bad.
Yeah, I didn't. I heard mixed
really
things on it,
but it wasn't bad either.
Kind
of made me feel how the sequels made me feel.
Sure.
Right? Where they're just like, it's not bad, but
the first one is So yeah,
Well, they could have stopped right there. They didn't
So
have to make
revolutionary.
anymore. Yeah,
No, they
could
didn't.
have stopped right there and been done and let my imagination do the rest. Neo
Sure.
freed all the people and life went on.
woohoo, all
Yeah.
done. Yeah,
I'm going to show them. He even sets that up, right? He sets up that speech he gives at the end when he picks up the phone is meant to inspire your imagination.
right. But they also might be doing that just because they're like, I don't know if the movie's gonna fucking fly.
I'm going to show you something you don't want them to see. I'm
Right.
going to show them something you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. Right?
Yeah.
My imagination goes from there. I don't need
I don't disagree with you, but
I
we
don't
don't
need
do
it anymore.
We don't fucking do one-offs anymore. Like that's a whole nother
Yeah, but there are
conversation
definitely
for another
movies.
time.
There are definitely movies that seem like they could have been, but tried to squeeze a little more money out of the franchise anyway, like Boondock Saints.
Sure.
My imagination did a much better job of filling in what happened next than that sequel ever would.
Right.
They're going to go off. They're going to kill all the bad people. I got it.
Done. That was a great film.
And one day, the FBI will shoot them all dead. Got it.
Simple.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I want more standalone films, man. I want more of that. I don't need.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm kind of over the franchise thing right now. It's
I
been
think
fun.
John Wick is a good example, too.
Right.
Could have been just one movie.
It could have. It
It
could
need to be 5 movies.
And
Wherever
here,
we were
people,
6, wherever we are
people
now.
love them, and we love
People are going to keep paying for them.
We love IP too much, man.
Well, this is what kept Star Trek going for so long. It's what kept Star Wars going for so long. As people keep paying, it's what keeps Marvel going.
Oh yeah.
Did you see this? The trailer for season 2 of Loki was like the highest viewed trailer that Marvel's had since Infinity War.
Isn't that weird?
Got like
Isn't that
80 million
weird?
views in
Yeah.
like the first 5 hours it was live.
Yeah.
Kidding me?
It's fucking weird. But Loki was very good.
Well, everybody's been talking shit on Marvel lately, but Loki, he's untouchable. We can't talk shit on Loki.
Careful. Yeah, no, my son was like, Dad, he's like, the last really good Marvel thing that he's like that I really enjoyed was Loki. And I was like, okay.
Good show.
And he's like,
Cerebral, action-packed.
he's like, out of the movies, out of all of it. He's like, that's been my favorite. in the last
Climax
while.
wasn't a big battle. It was like a conversation with the bad guy.
Right.
Or at least the perceived bad guy.
Right. So he's like, dude, that's the best one. He's like, I'm actually
great.
excited for that one. And I was like, huh?
I don't think everything they've been doing recently has been
It's-
bad. In fact,
it's not
most of
been
the
bad.
stuff I've really enjoyed. So I don't know what people are talking about.
I've
But
had
rough.
fun. I've had fun with some of their shit over the last few, 6 months to a year.
Yeah.
It's been almost refreshing.
Guardians Volume 3 was a tour de force.
Tour de force.
The movie made me feel so many emotions. All the emotions.
You guys need to go to entertainthegeeky.com. You can follow us on all of our social medias there. And, just thanks, man. Thank you. Subscribe if you have not already to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast. And
You know what else people should do?
what?
Leave a like.
Yeah, give us a like.
Did you like this? Well, how do we know?
This was a weird one. This
How
was
do
a
we
weird
know?
one. Yeah.
We did. We got a little crazy.
Got to
But it's a crazy conversation. It's a crazy topic.
It is, and it's
The
an
whole
easy
entertainment industry hinges on this topic.
when it's entertainment, and then it's like billionaires, and it's it just scaled.
builds.
It's scaled.
It
It's
builds.
scaled into whatever obnoxiousness we just presented you with. So
Yep.
thank you for hanging out. If you if you haven't already, do all the things that we ask you to do. It's not mind control. It's a question. Okay, please
Do all the things. Blindly follow.
And as always, stay geeky.